Jen?
Can
you breathe a little bit yet?
No. But I'm here, hey. There was even a shower this morning.
Nice.
I've been in Lansing twice already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and stay and,
Figuring out the committee assignments and all that stuff. But...
well, which committees? We're, you know, with the Dems in charge, it's like, well, what committees do we want? So there's just cascading like.
I just sent you an update. It's much smaller.
Happy to have them.
Yeah.
But,
I want to learn about all that. I'll have to buy you a beer someday so you can give me the behind the scenes rundown.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometime, we just changed. We were gonna have a retreat in December, and now we're gonna have a retreat in January, just because there's so many things.
Too much to figure out.
But I did schedule my swearing in. We have to do that ourselves.
Oh, really? You have to organize it and everything?
Yeah, so, well, you do it before January 1 so that you get paid on January 1.
Okay.
You get your health benefits. Then, they call it opening day, is the first day of session.
They call it opening day for real? Yeah, not really. Yeah, right, yeah, not that funny, kind of.
Yeah, hunting or baseball or whichever way you want to go.
Yeah.
It's constitutionally mandated second Wednesday in January.
Okay.
January 11th.
Official day, huh?
Yeah. Very exciting. Very glad to hear what's going on as we start all this. Because, yeah, it looks like, well, they're not going to do anything during lame duck, so I guess we're going to,
Keep riding.
come forward to us. So
Good.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome.
I don't know that for sure, but that does seem to be what's happening. Oh, thank you.
Well, either way, to have eyes on it directly is amazing for us.
Okay, we're all good.
Good. Well,
Great.
You got a rep.
Good morning, everyone. We're at 10:06 right now here, and we're gonna kick off the CEDS meeting. So, thank you for coming out to, this is our last CEDS meeting for the year. And then we're gonna restart back up in February. I think we've got a pretty exciting agenda planned here and a lot of interesting content to share. So first, I'm going to start off by saying congratulations to all the UP's elected officials on the outcomes of their elections. And I'm going to welcome state and federal legislative partners and their staff to make some introductions here. And we're going to start with Representative-elect Jen Hill.
Hi folks online. I am excited to represent the Central UP in its new configuration of Farragut County, Marquette County, Alger County, and 2/3 of Dickinson County, awkwardly, but that means more opportunities for us to partner in new ways. I've actually already talked to Jerry Warmena on one of my trips down, so looking forward to what kind of interesting collaborations are to come. And I was saying before the meeting officially started, right now it looks like nothing much is going to happen in lame duck, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming in the new session. And but committee structure is still up in the air. We're going to find out committee structure by January. Well, I'll know what committees I'm assigned to in January. I am being public that I am asking for appropriations because we haven't had that for the UP, and very eager to learn more about what folks are planning. And that's really all I can say right now, because I'll be in the room on January 11th. That's pretty much all I know right now.
Thank you. We're very grateful to that you staying plugged in with the CEDS meetings.
Yeah, sure.
To attend with us. Are there any other local or state or federal officials that would like to identify themselves? Right. Moving on to the next category of attendees, we're looking for anybody new to the CEDS committee. I know we have a few new people that are joining us today. If anyone would like to speak up and identify themselves. Everybody out in the virtual world, hear me all right?
Can hear you fine, Ryan.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna start with, how about all the people virtually, just in the chat, and say who you are and your affiliation, just so we can have a record of attendance here. And then, we're gonna go around the room here making, in-person introductions. So I'll start. I'm Ryan Susi, Senior Planner with the Central UP Planning and Development Region.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Thiel. I represent my team from NMU Smartzone and NMU as their CEO. And I'm here to discuss outdoor innovation and continue on with this meeting. I think there's been a lot of progress made, and I look forward to continuing on and working into implementation for this project.
I'm Alex Kosky. I'm the Executive Director of Accelerate UP, helping out non-tech startups in Marquette County.
Christopher Germain, CEO of the Lake Superior Community Partnership here in Marquette County.
Ali Toma, USDA Rural Development.
Good morning, David Nyberg, Executive Director for Business Engagement and Economic Development at Northern Michigan University.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Leach, Senior Planner with Marquette County.
I'm Dottie Lee Joy. I'm the Executive Director of QPAD.
So Ritten, Fresh Systems.
Ryan Stern with the Michigan Building Trades.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody online for making introductions. So I have a proposed schedule here for what the 2023 meetings are going to look like. We're doing it bi-monthly and still rotating between Marquette and Escanaba. I just wanted to show this to you and just see if there's any kind of conflicts that you can see here just from the start. This looks okay.
Please be emailed out after the meeting.
This will be emailed out, and I'll send a calendar invitation around to everybody who is on my mailing list. That looks good. If there's no issues with this, then we'll stick with it here. And all right, that moves us on to our first agenda item here. We're talking about regional resiliency. I have two items to talk about with this. Actually, Janie McNabb is going to be presenting on the Childcare Task Force. So, Janie, do we have you with us here right now?
Hi, Ryan. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm here.
Hey,
thanks for having me.
Would you leave some slides for you, Janie?
If you'd like to forward them, that'd be great. Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, I'll let you kick it off here. We're going to be talking about the regional childcare regional planning grants. And so in September, the governor announced regional childcare planning grants through the Early Childhood Investment Corporation. And they have a childcare innovation fund. So the UP Childcare Task Force tackled this grant, and they've come up with a proposal, and Janie is going to share it with us. So take it away, Janie.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Hi, everybody. Just a little background for those of you who don't know, the UP Childcare Task Force was formed about a year and a half ago at the request of the Workforce Development Board. It was intended to be a UP-wide gathering of economic development, workforce development, childcare programs, childcare providers, education, really bringing all of the key stakeholders together to discuss what has truly become a crisis across the state, across the country, but especially in the UP. So I've been helping to convene that and working through my role as the one-stop operator at Upper Peninsula Michigan Works. When this grant opportunity came available, it seemed like a perfect role for the task force to jump into. So what we did is we came up with a plan for how to tackle the requirements of the grant. And Ryan, if you go to the next slide, that lists out the grant was actually pretty prescriptive. I've written plenty of grants in my life, and this one was pretty straightforward. You have to do these 6 things. And so we just went about finding the partners who are willing and able to do these 6 things and bring it all together into a proposal. Now, the purpose, I believe, of these 6 elements is really to explore all of the complex factors that influence the system of childcare in a community, and trying to really do a lot of assessment, analysis, and come together with a regional action plan that can address anything that's getting in the way of better, more available, quality, affordable childcare. So each one of these 6 things has a slide, so I'll just go through those, and feel free to jump in if you have any questions. So the first activity or first requirement is to convene stakeholders, which we had already been doing. And we simply will try to pull that structure together in a little more effective way. We have kind of ballooned over time, this task force, to almost 50 members, which is a lot. So, and we certainly want all the voices at the table. But we also want to have a smaller kind of steering committee to drive all of the projects under this grant and make sure we're being effective. So that's the first activity. And Upper Peninsula Michigan Works will continue in its role to convene that. The second is to really do a deep dive into what are the needs out there for childcare? What do parents need? Working families need? Now, fortunately, the Child Care Task Force had already done quite a bit of data collection. We did surveys and focus groups with employers, parents, and providers. So for this activity, this requirement, the Early Childhood Support Network, which is consists of a northern region, including the UP, but it's the Eastern Upper Peninsula ISD will take the lead on this, to really look at the data we already have and then do a deeper dive into it to really determine by community, what are the needs? What do parents need in terms of the shifts for their children? What about, childcare centers versus in-home, group home, et cetera. So really doing a deep dive on that and analyzing what families need across the UP. And then the next one is to understand how municipal policies are impacting startups for childcare businesses. So that's where Ryan and Jeff and Jerry have been fantastic and true partners in this effort to come together and do a project to really look at zoning and any other policies that could be standing in the way. Ryan, did you want to talk a little bit more about what that plan looks like for your part?
Yeah, so our idea is to look at the zoning ordinances and other municipal policies that may be creating barriers to childcare startups here, and particularly looking at, anything that they may have old in their zoning ordinances. Some recent statutory changes to the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act that have increased the capacity for child care centers and facilities. So we're going to be looking at that and making sure nobody has any kind of older things that don't fit with it in their ordinances. So doing that UP-wide.
And Ryan is going to take the lead on creating a tool for all three organizations to use so that there's consistency across the UP in terms of what that assessment looks at. And it, really comparing what is required by licensing to get started to those policies. Okay, then the next activity actually has 3 subparts. So they said there were only 6 activities, but really they squeezed in a couple more. So this is really about doing essentially baseline inventories for 3 things. One is providers. What providers do we have out there for childcare? What's out there right now? But then also looking at what are those needs? What are the providers' needs? They're businesses, they're small businesses. Do they need more business development, business planning support? Do they need to look at shared services to reduce their costs? Do they need staff? We know they need staff. That data collection that I talked about earlier this year was, very, very clear that our providers are really restrained by not being able to hire more people. So finding some opportunities there in terms of what supports do the providers need. Then the next baseline inventory, Ryan, next slide, is what do the staff need? What do we need in terms of workforce and talent development? Upper Peninsula Michigan Works is going to take the lead on this. The provider needs assessment, that last one, Great Start to Quality Resource Centers will take the lead on that. But for this one, it's really looking at what's needed in the field in terms of skill sets. What are the career pathways out there available? Connecting with education, both at the CTE and secondary level, as well as post-secondary. And just getting a sense of what's needed out there so that we can analyze and look for opportunities for further talent development. And then the third baseline inventory is looking at building stock within communities. So what's out there right now that could be used for childcare facilities? What is licensable, basically? And so InvestUP is going to be taking the lead on this, but working closely with the local economic development organizations and looking at their sites databases and connecting with local governments to see what buildings could be used for licensed childcare facilities in order to increase that availability across the UP. And then the kind of final true planning activity is pulling all of that I just talked about together into a regional action plan. And Grow and Lead is going to take the lead on this, but really getting everyone at the table, looking at all of these assessments and baseline inventories, and identifying what's the most effective lever that we can push to influence the system so that we can truly just ramp up the number of available slots for children in the right places and in the right formats to meet the needs of parents, meet the needs of employers and communities across the UP. The final, and in this action plan, it's really, the goal is to create it in such a way that it can be used to leverage other funding. Other ARPA funding that may be available at the time, but other private sources, other grant sources, et cetera. And really making it making the case for investment in early childhood. And then the final activity is to implement. So that next slide, Ryan. So implementing the regional action plan, of course, we want to do that as soon as it's ready. But the action plan won't be ready until spring of 2024. So there is hope that, for instance, when the regional planning organizations do their report regarding municipal policies, that local governments will recognize places where they can make adjustments and start implementing some of the changes much earlier. And as more and more information is collected and analyzed and shared out throughout this process, that changes start to happen right away. And so we really paved the way for increasing that available, affordable childcare. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I'm not hearing anything if anyone's saying anything. Can you hear me, Ryan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
I can hear you too. Yep, no
I can hear you,
questions.
Janie.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm hoping that those in the room can hear me as well. Kind of looks like they disconnected.
We can hear you. I accidentally.
Okay, great. I will say that when we first looked at this grant opportunity, there was discussion across the representatives on the UP Childcare Task Force about should we apply as a region across, the whole UP or as sub-regions, because the grant cap was $150,000, which isn't going to go very far across a huge, huge geography with all our communities across the UP. However, we felt that we didn't want to compete against each other. And we did get permission to request a higher amount than the $150,000 because we are such a large region. So our final ask was about $189,000, which I didn't think was that much higher than the cap. And so we were still trying to be as efficient and targeted and low cost as possible, but try and implement all of this across the whole UP so that we're consistent, we're a true full region, but still recognizing the individual needs of communities. Always the challenge, right? Such a huge geography, so many unique communities across the UP, but wanting to leverage this as much as possible for everyone's benefit. So we should be hearing about this mid-December, and I can certainly let everyone know, cross your fingers. If we do get this, it'll be a big lift. We can use everyone's help, and it'll pretty much shape the work of the UP Childcare Task Force for the next 18 months. But if anyone has any other questions after this, or if you want to get involved in the task force, or at least hear what's happening with it, feel free to let me know.
Oh, there we go. Hey, we hope star 6. Honestly, I kind of forgot about that one.
Pieces of information.
Janie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Awesome. This is Dottie LaJoy with QPAD. So just thinking about deliverables, and my brain typically goes to maps and how descriptive maps can be. And I think that's going to be really helpful. I mean, I've like those Esri story maps where people will be able to see where those types of facilities, I mean, where the facilities are, where the jobs are, where the roads are, where the transportation, because being a mom myself and relying on daycare heavily way back when, it was all about, where was the closest daycare to the job, and that sort of travel that everyone has to make, the trip they have to make. I'm just thinking that might be something you might want to think about when you're putting it out there for people to be aware of what some of the outcomes were. Just thinking. So
yeah, that's a great point, Dottie. And I think that was kind of missing from our previous data collection efforts. We have lots of data and we can drill down by county, but it's in this big Excel spreadsheet, right? And it's actually 3 separate sets of data because we did employers, parents, and providers. But if we could pull it all together into something visual that people can really connect with, map could potentially be that
we do have our GIS person is pretty overloaded, but she is very good with the Esri story maps. And I think that would be, something that, You're welcome to take a look at, you know, once you start to gather that data and how you want to present that, we're happy to help you put that together.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Janie? Well, seeing as there's none, Janie, thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to working with you on this project. It's pretty exciting.
Me too. I think it's going to have a huge impact. So thank you for having me to present this. Appreciate it.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna go really fast over these next items here because I want to make sure we have enough time for getting into our outdoor recreation news. So we have a broadband task force. It's a subcommittee of the CEDS, and last Friday we held our second quarterly meeting of this group and learned a little bit about digital literacy programs. Right now, Connect Michigan is trying to advance digital literacy, looking to host these workshops here, working with libraries and different organizations. And so AT&T has given some funding and put together a curriculum for doing basic things like internet basics, computer basics, cybersecurity, email, things like that. So, oh, I had something on this slide before. There it is. So this is an example of what Escanaba Public Library is putting together for a couple trainings in January. And so you could work with Connect Michigan to bring a training like this to your community. So reach out to Tom Stevenson and I'll have his contact information for you if you'd like to get involved in that. Also wanted to share on the Affordable Connectivity Program from the FCC. This has been around for since the beginning of the year, I believe. This is the subsidy program for qualifying individuals and households. It saves up to $30 per month for traditional households and up to $75 a month for households on qualifying tribal lands. So people who might qualify for this are, if you're on any kind of government program like Medicaid, public housing assistance, WIC, Lifeline, things like that. If you're on, if you have a federal Pell Grant, so for our college students, that would be helpful. And free or reduced lunch programs at school, they all qualify. So there's also a Affordable Connectivity Outreach Grant that was just announced that empowers organizations to help people get signed up for it. And so similar to the state grant that MEDC had for a Navigator pilot program, they also have Navigator pilot program. So, you know, I'm asking for your help here and thinking about how we do this. We don't have the capacity at QPAD to be able to have a Navigator and to serve the whole UP and trying to get people signed up for this. Put a pin in this for a second and I'll move over to my next update is on Friday, the FCC just announced the new broadband maps. So the old broadband maps were terrible. You know, they used census block group data to show whether or not people had what speeds of internet people had. This gets down to the address level, and so right now we're in the challenge process with FCC, where we can challenge what is on the map, like, hey, I don't have internet at this location, and so you can submit individual challenges, or if you're a local unit of government or an ISP, you can submit bulk challenges to it. So this is getting better, and it's going to improve once the state of Michigan's maps come out, which are also going to challenge the FCC map. So, speaking about capacity, then I was thinking, you know, we could really use a lot more capacity in trying to find out where we can challenge this data. And I'm thinking the affordable connectivity program, if there's some funding for that, and we also need to focus on these challenges. Maybe there's some way that we can work together as organizations across the UP to try to build some capacity for somebody, a position that could do that. So I'm open to any ideas here on that, and would like you to reach out to me if you have any ideas.
Hey, Ryan, what is the timeline for challenging?
Oh, I was just gonna ask that question.
I believe it goes, I think it's into next year. I'm not
Okay, so there's a good timeline,
Yeah,
good.
I know Connect Michigan is planning to share their maps by the end of the year here in December, so.
Hey, Ryan, can like just a individual like go on and look at this and challenge it? It's like I was thinking if we like send this out to all of our partners, which is like 3,000 people, and said, check this map, right? Make sure it's accurate.
Right,
Yeah.
Could they
send a
do
link around and just have everyone take a few minutes.
I think we also kind of need a system too, because, give Highline, for example, they got the, Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, so they're committed to certain areas. And so they might not show up there, but Highline is going to take care of all the locations in their service area and their committed RDOF area. So we don't need to look at challenging those areas. So I think we need to come together on kind of a system. But more to come on that. If you have any.
You might, that's something you might be able to position a Michigan STEM board internship position for, and then offer an internship to a student studying GIS or something. There's a project you could work on that would sort of take down some of the costs and give a student an opportunity and fulfill the need all in one, you know?
I think that's a great idea, and I think Dottie and I were kind of discussing what an internship or something like that could look like, but we didn't really have any idea of how to move forward with that. So
Right.
The STEM Forward program is really, like, they're taking almost any suggestion, as long as you say you can align it to STEM, you know, and if the person is, you know, they're supporting broadband, it's not directly a STEM career, but they are supporting a broadband initiative, they're learning about GIS mapping, they're learning about, you know, soft skills, and so it's a good opportunity for a student to do something.
That's a one-to-one salary, a wage match.
Yeah, so
The question becomes whether
you can double dip.
who the
state
employer,
programs
who the
and- yeah.
employer of record is, because my understanding is it has to be a business.
Oh, does it? Okay.
But there could be, you know, Michigan Works,
Yeah.
may qualify, I don't know.
Maybe we'd have
That's
to,
a great idea.
we'd have to, or you could use business partnerships. I mean, I'm looking at a couple of interns for the winter semester, and I'll need something for them to do. So like,
Sure.
if that was something that we could work together on, that could
We
be
could totally, because it's not only like, you know, bringing an intern on is great, but you have to work with them.
Right.
And that's where I think we fall short too. I mean, we are so busy that we don't have time to devote to actually training them and helping them, you know, gain the skills we're looking, you know, and in the end, we need something. And,
Two things on that.
So-
First off, Dave, I know that you can have nonprofits, because we do have interns now in my STEM program. We have administered multiple my STEM, you know, through private business and to nonprofit. So I think that's okay. Now, the requirements, technical based, this would probably qualify. But I know InvestUP is also launching another program that's an internship-based program here in January, I think, that will have a much broader criteria. But it is a great program. Keith's right. I mean, to be able to have them match 50% of the cost of that has been a huge benefit to a lot of these types of programs. And then the students get a bunch for their resume as well. And so I think that we could definitely check on it. I think they're limited to like 12 weeks. So, but a project like this, you could really have an intensive, hey, this is pretty
straightforward,
Right. Once
So
you
yeah,
learn it, you know how to
need
do
some
it.
management, but I mean, you
Right.
need somebody to encourage them and give them some morale, but I mean, the work is clear. It's, going, making phone calls and going to maps and doing some market research and maybe getting in the car and going places, but, anyway.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we can just check with, the program's administered through Ann Arbor Spark. And it's easy phone call for them to ask them, and we can help from the criteria.
Great. Well, great ideas, and thank you for the assistance on that. Well, I'm gonna switch over to our next, well, one more thing I kind of want to mention here is that, with Starlink and with, some of the satellite providers, the map shows, if you look at it at the more zoomed out level, it shows that the whole UP is covered, and you can see from this graphic here, I'm just looking at Delta County, but it says they're 100% covered by broadband speeds of 250 megabits per second all across Delta County. And we know that's not true, but that's because the Starlink and I think Viasat are reporting those speeds. And so to really kind of, you need to go into the settings and toggle on only all wired or all wired and license fixed, and then change the speeds to 100 down or 100 down and 20 up, which is what the broadband speeds are for accessing the BEAD program funding at the federal level. Then it will kind of give you a better picture, but this graphic won't update at all. So that's kind of a problem, I think, but then you can get a better picture of what the broadband looks like in your area. So I have a link to it on this slide, so when I send it out, you'll have that as well. So last here, I want to switch over to talking about outdoor recreation innovation news. And we have some exciting news on a few interrelated initiatives on growing the region's outdoor recreation industry. And Joe's going to tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, it's okay. Marty could start, and kind of he was gonna kick it off, and then I was gonna kind of finish it, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Marty, would you like to lead us off here?
Sure, thanks, Ryan. Sorry I can't be with you today personally, but appreciate the virtual option. So thanks much. A couple things from our perspective, and first, let me say is we continue to see more data and hear some anecdotal reports. We believe there's true opportunity with the outdoor recreation economy, and the news last week that was shared in terms of the magnitude of that statewide and the appointment of Brad Garman to a national position, as well as now the MEDC housing, the Office of Outdoor Recreation, are all, I think, important and reflect what that opportunity looks like. And so through Innovate Marquette Smartzone's leadership and really the vision that Joe had, we've now got an opportunity in front of us to stand up an outdoor recreation venture fund. Pretty unique for a rural region like the Upper Peninsula, and one I'm excited about, particularly because of who will lead this effort for us. Vince Nystrom's a Marquette native, has got deep experience in and around economic development, including as a senior vice president with the MEDC, and more recently with Renaissance Capital. And so really unique skill set that Vince brings back. He's a Marquette native to the Upper Peninsula, and so he finds himself in this season looking to come back and make a difference, and couldn't be more excited to have Vince join Invest. And it wouldn't have been possible really without like I say, Joe's vision and that of the Smartzone. So really appreciate their leadership and partnership in that respect. So this is a statewide fund. Its principal purpose is to realize a return on investment for investors. There'll be some ancillary benefit, hopefully along attraction and development opportunity. And outdoor recreation, as it's related to the fund, will be very broadly defined. And so it'll be important with deal flow, and that's why we will work regionally with regard to any opportunity that exists that'll fit that definition. It's a statewide fund, as I understand it, and I am not a subject matter expert, because that's what will be required from the MEDC. And that's important because there is presently essentially a one-for-one match here. The MEDC has a funding called the SSBCI funding model or program, and we're cautiously optimistic that that will seed this fund with $5 million if we get $5 million in commitments. And so Vince has already started to undertake some of those conversations. Those conversations lead me to believe that I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll reach the threshold. And with that, as we start to build confidence in being able to attain that $5 million as match for the $5 million from the state, we would then go before the Michigan Strategic Fund and make a formal approach to the state for that $5 million in contribution. So excited by the opportunity. I think it further helps distinguish us from other rural regions and what we'll be able to do around this outdoor recreation space and the outdoor recreation economy. And so that's moving forward. The other news I would share is not quite as certain or defined at this point, but it's another opportunity that I certainly want to tip my hat to Quentin Messer and the leadership team and the local team with the MEDC. And that is that I think we've been talking about regionally for 3 years about the need for regional relevance, and that one size does not fit all with regard to economic and community development. And Quentin, Jen Nelson, Amy Evans, and the team at the MEDC have really taken that, I think, message to heart. And another example, there was news last month that some significant changes along the business development side and programming that wasn't always friendly to a region like ours. Big news, but this is as well, and that we've been chosen for a pilot project with the MEDC with one other region in the state, the Southwest Michigan side of the state, being led by Southwest Michigan First in the Kalamazoo area, to invest $500,000 or so into helping with capacity issues that we have locally for regional priorities. And so we continue to talk to local partners and take insights in terms of what may be the best place to make a return with that investment. And part of, I think, the short list that we're giving serious consideration at this point to is making some investment in capacity to help with the outdoor recreation economy. And maybe that starts with asset mapping and better understanding what the assets of outdoor recreation truly represent across the region, and then starting to build out a strategic plan from that, and then marrying it into some of the other independent but aligned opportunities that are definitely ongoing, including what the Smartzone is doing here with its entrepreneur in residence, and what you're looking at, Ryan. So haven't finalized the MOU with the MEDC yet. Certainly welcome insights and suggestions if you have thoughts on where capacity can best be built to touch on regional priorities. But again, can't be more grateful to the MEDC for really understanding that we've got unique opportunity within the region and allowing us some opportunity to address that on our own. My expectation is, particularly in light of the results of the election, that this funding, if we prove to be, Southwest Michigan First proves to be good stewards of this opportunity, that this will then be a statewide program with each of the regions across the state, and it'll be embedded in the budget for at least the next 4 years. So I think there's a real runway then to to move forward with not only these initially identified opportunities, but then some subsequent opportunities all around capacity and priority. So with that, I'll stand down for any questions or comments, and then apparently hand it off to Joe.
Are there any questions for Marty? Marty, in all of our planning projects that we do throughout the region, I just see so much interest and strategic focus in the area of outdoor recreation. And so I think, you know, this is going to be really a great opportunity for all to kind of benefit from. And I'd also mentioned the alignment between, you know, at the local level, county level, and all the way up to the MEDC with their strategic focus on outdoor recreation too. That's going to, I think, really point us in the right direction.
I agree, Ryan. And it's a unique time with a unique opportunity, and some of you have heard this before. Matt Johnson reported it at a summit we held. He went out to Arkansas to better understand the vitality of their trails and what it's meant from an economic and community development perspective. We see some of this same opportunity locally with the data and numbers from the use of our trails, including like the Ore to Shore with 2,600 registrants from 31 states. But in Bentonville, they credit 1,000 new people a month moving to Bentonville just because of the trails. And so when you compare our geography, our topography, our climate, all those assets that we have that Bentonville would not, we're certainly in a position to capitalize on that same type of interest. The question for us will be balance and making sure that we treat that sustainability piece in a trustworthy manner. But there's definitely opportunity that this renewed interest in quality of life and the generations behind mine have with regard to making that a focus of where they want to live, learn, work, and play. So I think it's an exciting time. It's a unique time. And if we can capitalize on it as this window is open, it's got the chance to be a difference-making time.
Hey, Marty, this is Kathy. I have a quick question for you. Maybe I've heard it before, but I'm not for sure. So one of the issues, for those of you that don't know me, I'm from Munising. So one of our issues throughout the years has been, you know, it is our leading economic driver in Alger County Munising, is a lot of seasonality. So the ability to get funding other than maybe a loan or something for a business that's starting up, that type of thing is about really the only options a lot of these folks have. Is this something that possibly at some point would be able to help entrepreneurial businesses that are starting up in the outdoor rec industry be able to maybe access some funding?
The venture fund absolutely is. So, you know, as we define what outdoor recreation looks like in that context, it's got a broad definition presently. And so it's everything from aftermarket accessories to gear to something that might be more traditional in the outdoor rec space. So we've tried to define it very broadly to make sure that any ancillary opportunity related to outdoor recreation is going to be encompassed within that umbrella.
Okay. So, and like I was saying before, a lot of ours are seasonality type businesses, though they make a huge impact on the area and our area. And so, you know, they're not 12-month, for example, manufacturing or something like that. They're not manufacturing product, you know.
Yeah, it'll be about, you know, innovative startup around outdoor recreation. So, I mean, there'll be some definition requirements. So it wouldn't be like a brick and mortar ski shop wouldn't qualify for this. But if you had like an aftermarket piece of ski gear, this would look to then help bring that product to market. I got that right, Joe?
That's correct. It's around outdoor innovation mainly, and Marty's right, it's accessories, products, including smart trail, connected trail systems, as well as businesses that would be manufacturing those products.
Ready, Joe?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay.
So what Marty talked about, the fund, that's about a 2-year program that we've been working on with, that was a EDA grant that we received, the EDA Build to Scale Capital Grant. And that grant afforded us the opportunity to set up multiple assets, including the fund and some other early stage capital that we're working on right now as a program. And then that has milestones and breakpoints of what types of activities we'll do. That then allowed us to then bring Vince Nyberg back to Marquette, and then also tie into multiple other venture funds states. So this is really a feeder fund in outdoor innovation. To set up a full-blown venture capital fund at a large size and scale with massive investment businesses, we're just not there yet. So this is a pre-seed seed fund, $10 million fund, and that really is in the early stage of innovation. One of the biggest things we have an issue with in UP is access to capital. And then one of the 3 pillars of entrepreneurship, you have to have a resilient entrepreneur, you have to have a great mentorship base, and you have to have access to capital. And many, many entrepreneurs have left our region because they don't have direct access to capital here. Again, this is a state fund, so it's not just focused on businesses coming from our region, but many from our region will have access to these funds too. And again, it's outdoor innovation. Outdoor recreation and outdoor innovation are 2 very different things. Outdoor recreation is the end of the industry. This isn't an attraction effort to bring a bunch of people to the UP to recreate. Okay, this is an attraction of the $500 million side of the innovation industry, where BRP, Bombardier, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, Polaris, all these companies are going down these pathways of EV vehicles, Ford, Toyota, many others. And they're creating innovation in the space, which are the products that we'll use in the outdoor recreation space. And we're creating a hub of innovation to then spur off and create an economy around outdoor innovation. So these products can be used anywhere in the country, at any outdoor recreation site, not just in the UP. So I don't want to be a misconception that this is an effort to draw a whole bunch of people to the UP to recreate on our trail systems. That's not the effort. The effort is to draw companies here to recognize the opportunity to test their products, build their products, and innovate on our trail systems. Right? And so that's a much bigger side of the industry. If you look at the hundreds of millions of dollars going in that side of the industry right now, it's a much bigger picture when Polaris says next year every single one of our product lines are going to be EV capable. Right? And we're going to put $300 million into that effort. Well, we have ties with Polaris and many of the others to say, well, come here and utilize our network and our process, our incubation and acceleration process to develop those products and then create an industry around it. And the actual product location is what I'm going to talk about next. So this is the fund, and the fund is in place, and we're putting that effort forward with great leadership to ensure that this is set up. The other side of this, how do we operate an outdoor innovation center to then develop these products? So you may know Dave Olo has been working now for multiple years on putting together Shop House Park, and he's going down on the 14th for a $3 million ask to the MSF board to help support Shop House Park as an innovation center. We just announced that Dave Ola is now our entrepreneur in residence. So one of the best outdoor innovation people in the country, Dave Ola, is now working directly with us to be a resource for all entrepreneurs in the space of outdoor innovation. So if there's Polaris, Toyota, whoever wants to come here and innovate, or new startups in the space, and there's thousands of startups in this space right now, who want to have access to an amazing mentorship base and an outdoor innovation center. That's what this second grant allowed us to do. So the first grant was an EDA Build to Scale grant. The second grant is a USDA RISE grant.
Sorry, I was trying to see the chat, sorry.
Sorry. So this grant, the USDA RISE grant, is a new grant program to the USDA, and 3 cities in the country were allocated funds from this grant. We were fully allocated $700,000 to set up the Marquette Outdoor Venture Center in partnership with Shop House Park and all the other EDO partners at our facilities. So basically, currently today, that allowed us to then bring Dave Olo on, and then also have really enhance our proto lab. So 3D printing technology, a bunch of additional.
Okay.
Right, a whole bunch of additional support for that, and both of these grants were partnerships and big collaboratives, coalitions of many members, the EDO partners, to make it all happen. So now, not only do we have this fund that we're setting up and backing up and putting in place, we also have the Outdoor Innovation Center, which eventually will develop into the Michigan Outdoor Venture Center. So Smartzones throughout the state have strategic focus in different types of innovation, and they have incubators and accelerators there to help develop those products and then commercialize the products. We felt that outdoor innovation is a very strong place for us because of all the assets that we have. And you can see it at the Michigan MEDC level now, they're strategically put in place. Outdoor innovation is a strategic initiative for them. So we're leveraging right now to be the outdoor innovation hub of the state for all outdoor innovation. So if you're going to the Smartzone anywhere in the state and you have an outdoor innovation product, you would be then referenced to our location because we have all the strategic support. And if you had something that was not outdoor innovation specific for something far outside of our bandwidth, we could share with other Smartzones. Smartzones have been trying to do that for quite a while. So this is a early stage stepping stone to then have a full-blown outdoor innovation center in conjunction with Shop House Park, which is Dave Olva, an entrepreneur. So the purpose of a Smartzone is to take our resources and support entrepreneurs, to lift them up, to help them break down barriers and set these in motion. Shop House Park, if you look at the concept of it and what it does, it becomes our accelerator. So we have three strategic focuses now. We have outdoor innovation as a focus, we have sustainable technology as a focus, and we have creative technology as a focus. And so our building downtown, if you guys have been down there, that's an incubator. So we would bring in new ideas, incubate those ideas, and then send them off to our strategic partners that are accelerators. And that's where Shop House Park and this grant supplies. So if you look at the strategy behind the grant, we administered the grant, we accept the grant, we actually announced it today. The USDA announced it today. And that is, again, two government organizations also showing, and there's lots of follow-on funding opportunities for this, recognizing the UP as an asset for outdoor innovation. So we're looking at our location, Marquette, in partnership with Houghton, in partnership with Sault Ste. Marie, who's at our office right now, a Smartzone, and in Traverse City, because Traverse City is now Blue Tech focused, which is an outdoor innovation on the waterways, to partner together and create a whole hub, which is an asset to the Michigan whole state resources. So when you look at outdoor innovation actually bookends the automotive industry in a unique way. Will we have huge manufacturing centers in the UP at some point in time around outdoor innovation? Maybe in the future. But this is more of an incubation and acceleration and growth and pre-manufacturing and testing ground. If you look at the strategy of the Michigan Electrification and Advanced Mobility Group, they're looking at testing these facilities, testing these vehicles. If you look at automotive industry, and you look at the projects, we had 3 projects at SEMA this year on Ford platforms that were electrified vehicles integrated into automotive vehicle platforms. What's happening in the outdoor innovation space right now on the front end of the business is R&D. So you look at the outdoor innovation industry, and you look at all the electrification and all this technology being accelerated in a not as regulated way. The automotive industry is creating a whole bunch of intellectual property, a whole bunch of new innovations around electrification and the efficiency of electrification of electric vehicles in a small platform, small formats. What's going to happen is that innovation is going to bleed into the automotive industry at some point. And it's going to drive a lot of R&D in that space. And you see that with the University of Michigan and through the lower Midwest with the Build Back Better program grants that they got, which is a really EV innovation. Right? We're going to feed into that with a lot of these innovations. And on the other side of this, if you went to SEMA and you saw all the vehicles there and you went to all the other car shows this year, you'll see majority of the vehicles that are most exciting to consumers are the ones that you attach a whole bunch of electrified vehicles to. So scooters and EV bikes and EV paddleboards and all these things are being created in EV space. So not only will we be driving innovation and supporting our industry in Lower Michigan and partnering with sites like the train station as an ancillary to that, but we'll also be driving what the consumers want with the products attached to those vehicles as accessories. And that's what we'll be creating. So it's really driven in the EV small vehicle outdoor rec space, and how those vehicles integrate with electrified platforms will be a major focus of what we do at this site. So these are huge grants, in total about $1.4 million in federal dollars being supported here, potentially another $3 million to Shop House Park from the state level, and potentially another $5 million coming down from MSF for this fund. And this is a huge collaboration. This has been, over 2 years in the process. We really feel that this is an amazing bandwidth to support a industry around outdoor innovation. And I want to be clear, it's the innovation side of it. And have many partners. Dave Ola has letters from major automotive manufacturers, major UTV, ETV. We also have a project going right now with MTU, which is in conjunction with this, to do mobile electrification of outdoor recreation vehicles on trail systems and networks. The NMSF grant went in to support a trail network system up in Houghton, to have not only Dave a part of it, Polaris a part of it, but also X3, which is in Baraga. They created containerized, battery-powered, solar-powered charging system for trails that's mobile. That project is in process as well. So the big picture of this really is to bring in large manufacturers and industry to utilize the components that we're creating and then innovate in the space. So when Thule and Yakima and Toyota and all these others are innovating, they can actually innovate in the space here at Shop House Park and on the trail network system. And we can actually provide resources for them while they're here to do that effectively. And now it also has many ancillary innovations that go along with it. We talk about sustainable tech, right? Sustainable materials and green materials and carbon neutral and carbon negative materials that support the outdoor recreation industry. You see it happening with Merrill and others now. There's huge opportunity through Shine and sustainable tech to create products that are sustainable to feed into this industry and create ancillary manufacturing and business around that. Talk about cybersecurity, as I know, Keith and his initiatives are huge. We have a smart connected trail system. When we have smart vehicles on those trail systems, we have the same potential for cybersecurity we would have in the automotive industry. So the potential for ancillary opportunities and outdoor innovation with these vehicle manufacturers using these high-tech platforms and having a smart connected trail system, you'd have to make that very secure and very safe. And then the final of that is this creative tech industry that we're working on, which was ancillary to this too. Tech creatives is potential to live and work remotely and want to be accessing our trail network system. But if you look at these new innovations that are happening, these new companies, what do they need? They need people to tell that story. They need to be able to market that. They need to be able to promote that and build digital content for them as they begin to scale and grow. And we have a huge asset here in Marquette for that as well. So we're really excited about it. We feel that this is the incubus to a much bigger conversation with the state and nationally. And eventually, hopefully at some point in time in the future, we'll be able to have a massive outdoor innovation trade show and have those type of activities happening and have big events in our campgrounds. When you look at the asset management that Ryan's working on, it goes both ways. Those assets that are outdoor rec assets, which are campgrounds and things around the UP that people can use for outdoor recreation, also become assets to have 400 people come and do a big trade show around new Polaris UTV vehicles and test them here.
What was the name of the company in Baraga?
X3 Industries. Yeah, X3 Energy. If you look at, I can send you more information on them. It's George Van Straten and Jill Van Straten, who were Van Straten owners. They sold their company to their children, and now they started X3. Hopefully X3 will be, we've got a presentation on the 4th with Ford for all their battery system platforms, auxiliary battery platforms and solar powered stuff that we did for SEMA. And hopefully Ford will accept that to their accessories division, and that'll be the first product we manufacture within Shop House Park and assemble.
Yeah, Dave, I just wanted to add a comment to Joe did a great summary, and this is a lot of folks in this room and on Zoom have been involved in this discussion, and the grant is kind of like one component of a bigger story and a bigger effort. But just to bolt on to what Joe mentioned, Northern Michigan University's InvestUP and NMU program, which is administered by the Smartzone through an operating agreement, received the NMU Foundation received a private foundation grant to support expanded outreach for events at NMU beyond the region or beyond Marquette County. I won't get into all the detail, but we tried to figure out the best way to do that. The pandemic actually gave us an idea to take the program mobile rather than do more brick and mortar. And so part of this, which actually this was a separate thing, but it factored nicely into this grant initiative, everything that Joe and Marty talked about with respect to outdoor innovation. Our proposal focused on actually taking events at NMU on the road, kind of in the mold of a van life format. So Joe and his team have used that gift and initiative as an opportunity to actually create more innovative products for the van and the product delivery of events at NMU. And so that's become a whole separate initiative to the initiative of expanding events at NMU. So the summary of that, the goal of that is really to make the services of events at NMU available to people throughout the Upper Peninsula who have an idea, and to kind of promote the services that they provide. So imagine, I think the actual deliverables in the project include commitment to doing an event in every county in the UP, So, for folks that are on the Zoom, one thing that we need to do is put a calendar together to identify signature events in UP communities that be ideal for something like this. Think like the Sisu Ski Marathon in Ironwood, or Bridge Fest in Houghton, or UP State Fair in Escanaba, or wherever. Or Uper Day, Pictured Rocks, or, and then trying to fill the calendar for these student teams to take these vans on the road and promote and offer to people that have ideas to submit their idea and help them with their product innovation. So it's kind of it's been a fun collaboration. This whole initiative has opened up other ideas and have collaborated with other projects that have been ongoing. So, and then while I'm speaking, I wanted to make not a question to Marty, but a comment real quickly that obviously NMU has been really involved in this whole project, this grant, but also the broader project of promoting outdoor innovation. On the talent side, it's no surprise that students at NMU love the outdoors and love recreating in the outdoors, as well as faculty and staff. It's a big reason why people come to NMU. It's part of our identity as a university. And so we're leaning into that, and some of the faculty in the outdoor rec program and in the new sustainability hub and others have, they're in the process of creating new programs that will enable students to get more skills and experiences to, unlock career opportunities in the outdoor industry for them, whether it's on the innovation side that we're talking about here, whether it's on the corporate side, and of course the outdoor rec program been in place for a long time. It just got a shout out from Outside Magazine as one of the best programs in the country. Hands-on guiding, outfitting, business ownership in the outdoor space is something that's been very successful over the last 2 decades. So just, I guess, a little bit of a commercial here. I thought it'd be a good time to chime in and say we're really excited about the leadership that Joe and Dave Ola and Nate in the city of Negaunee and others, and Marty and now in InvestUP have kind of really coalesced around this opportunity. We're excited to be part of it.
To add to Dave's point, something that's exciting is we have 2 students now in the Events NMU program who have developed their own outdoor innovation products who are going for funding now. So not only are students, so we've seen the excitement about it. Not only are students getting a great education at Northern and can potentially be an outdoor rec degree program, they also have the opportunity to create their own product and go out for investment when they graduate. So they have 2 options. And if you look at Startup Grind and other large publications around startup spaces, you'll see that what students want in today's education system is they want a great degree program, but they also want the option to be able to create a business or a product as they go through school. And we're accomplishing that. And I think that was really one of the telltale things that really kind of spurred this for me, was that we always wanted the students to be able to go through the program and have an opportunity to create their own idea. Well, to focus it on outdoor innovation is great because there's so much opportunity there in that space for students to develop new products and new innovations. Yeah.
So there's an organization called the Michigan Energy Innovation Council, Business Council, Michigan MEIBC. I just scrolled through their membership, and there's really only 2, 3 UP members. I talked to them yesterday. They are the big, it's the folks that build the equipment that are behind transmission lines, the battery storage that's coming there, the suppliers to the auto companies. And I think that would also help in your goals of help giving people access up here to these incredible programs. And I am very committed to making sure that those connections happen in my role now. And I'd be happy to set up meetings with you, with Laura Sherman and the folks at MEIBC, because that is another platform for them to reach.
That conversation came up a while back, and I haven't been able to stick around back yet. When the Michigan Public Service Commission came, the representative, the chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission, right, I sat next to him at lunch. We had a great conversation about this, and I really would appreciate that connection and some support for that. And I think that there was a lot of that synergy there. I think right now, as soon as the pilot's done, we get the pilot done up in Houghton, and we actually show some real, and the military is kind of excited about some of this stuff too, and we're trying to get some traction there on that side. And as soon as we get that, then we'll have a real conversation to have about, this is something that's, see, if you look at the UP Trail Network system, it's difficult to put lines in the ground to go the whole entire thing. We have fiber on all of it, but to actually physically put a lot of infrastructure in place in a remote location is difficult. We can do it at trailheads, we can do it in crossroads, stuff like that. But to have a hybrid system is what we're trying to work on. So we got containerized based stuff that's battery and solar powered in conjunction with these physical sites. Because like you said, it's UP seasonal. You don't need as many electric snowmobile charging stations at one location you do in the wintertime as you need for UTV locations in the summertime. So to have a mobile containerized based system is something that's really kind of new. But I think they'll be very interested in the potential for a hybrid plan. Yep. So appreciate that. Thank you. There's a lot of detail behind this. I have a presentation I can share with everyone on actual implementation. The biggest thing about this, these are great things, but if you don't have a great implementation plan and support for it, I want to make everybody aware of it, because this is something that we're kind of cultivating here, but it has the potential to make a huge impact on a lot of small rural communities. You'll see a video that's going to be out next week from Center of Rural Innovation that focuses on Marquette as an innovation hub in rural innovation. You talk about having all of this opportunity to bring this industry to us and have these engineers up in the UP testing, doing these things, that can make a big impact on a small rural community. And I think all rural communities in the UP have the potential to follow this model. So we're trying to create a model. It's not like a Marquette-centric thing. We're not trying to make it Marquette-centric, even though I represent Marquette County and Marquette mainly. It's actually an opportunity for every small rural community to take advantage of. These hubs can be everywhere in the UP. And if we optimize the trail network system, and we put that together in a strategic way, and we balance it, we won't have everybody going to Munising. The potential in the future for people coming into our outdoor recreation asset is massive. But there's also a conservation side we need to be very cognizant of. We're seeing, Lake Superior watershed just took how many millions of pounds of trash out of our waterways, and that's just happening. So to have a balance between this, we can work with outdoor innovation, and innovation, what it would also create, and that's why sustainable tech is so important, is that the sustainable tech of this innovation is also going to be the driver to maintain and optimize and make sure these trail systems stay, great long term.
Good point, Joey, that you bring up there. And I wonder, is there part of this, is there any way to have an interesting dynamic tension between the outdoor rec pillar and the sustainability? Although the intent may not be to bring lots of people here, the upshot is lots of people are going to come. So what can we do in the context of this program at the incubation stage to either put sustainability hooks in, or at least make sure that there's a sustainability culture that overrides any, like you got to balance the we can make an electric surfboard that races around, right? They've done it, but should we, right? And are we going to be asking that question because of the nature of the UP, right? And how do we think about, we don't want innovations to become another extractive industry.
Absolutely.
Right?
I want to keep it local.
And so there's some power in this conversation that needs to really think farther forward, and even to the thesis of the venture capital firm itself, right? Are we going to invest in, are we going to ask the question, should we? Are we going to look at the downstream ESG impact of every innovation that we're pushing and ask ourselves, is it net positive or is it net negative? Is it going to drive more extractive industry out of places like up here where are we going to get all these minerals? They're going to come from, so we're going to have to balance these influences in a really interesting way.
And the MEIBC actually has some really good examples of that that's happening in the private sector.
Yeah.
So I would
just something to think about
really,
as we,
really important resource.
I have an example.
No, and there's the CERES principles, which is CERES is spelled CERES, and that is an international accreditation that you can that is to your point exactly of what and how will this, whatever you do, impact the environment and meet the climate goals that we need to meet.
Yeah, like whether it's CERES or SDGs or the CRDF, or there's all kinds of frameworks, right? Are we going to have those as a part of this? Are we going to have a culture from the beginning of what is the real sustainability impact of this innovation?
I can give an example from the NMU perspective when you talk about sustainability hooks. It's not the certainly not the end all be all, but it's an example of how I think this relates. And it's been front of mind. Sustainability has been front of mind for NMU when it comes to this conversation. And there's actually been a point of contention, to be honest, among some of the faculty when we're talking about outdoor recreation program development at the university. So, and I'll try not to be long-winded on this. I could be, but I won't. So the Sustainability Hub of Innovation in the Environment, the acronym is SHINE. I think they tried to get creative on the name so they could have the acronym SHINE. That's the new center, an interdisciplinary hub, if you will, at Northern that aims to bring in expertise from multiple departments, things, Earth, Environmental, Geographical Sciences, Native American Studies, the College of Business, outdoor recreation, school health and human performance. I could go on and on. Construction management even, all of these different nodes of expertise to think about sustainability and how is NMU leading sustainability on campus, in our community, in our region, but also in partnership with businesses. So one of the things that we're doing right now, I'll get to the outdoor rec component in a sec, but just as a kind of a tangible example that's happening now, SHINE is a kind of an amoeba entity, is working with the UP Land Conservancy to activate the Dead River Community Forest as a learning laboratory, while also being super mindful about the sensitivities and the kind of the significant ecological asset that is that's now protected into perpetuity thanks to the UP Land Conservancy's work. But they want to develop interpretive trails so it becomes an educational tool, but they're going to make sure that those trails are done in a way that are culturally appropriate. And so students are helping do that work. So SHINE is kind of enabling that kind of stuff. They're doing GIS work at the property. They're doing biological surveys, both fish and wildlife. I could go on and on. So we basically did an inventory of all of the work that needs to be done, and it's become an opportunity for applied learning for students and faculty research in partnership with the Dead River Community Forest. Now, how does this relate to this conversation? Well, parallel to that, we're talking about a credential, program credential, a new program credential that would signal to give students the experience at Northern, but also signal to industry they're ready to work in the outdoor industry. And part of that is it's basically going to be a build your own credential from a menu of different courses and new courses that'll be developed. And one of the first ones that's coming out of the gate is sustainable tourism. So, and again, it's not the end all be all, but it's an example of how this is very, Keith, to your point, it's really relevant, is front of mind, and it's important to faculty. So some of the faculty have actually been doing this for quite some time. Kathy's familiar with Scott Jordan and the work they've done in Munising and Alger County. So I think it's an important point, and I think, to Joe's point in opening the conversation, kind of putting my Smartzone board hat on, these are things we've talked about. It's not I don't think this is at all about increasing tourism. It's more about smart tourism and product innovation that can activate economic development and entrepreneurship in the Upper Peninsula in an optimal way. Again, these are other people's ideas. We're just kind of along that line.
I agree, and I'm just thinking like it's a unique opportunity that we don't often get. And as Marty said, right, he mentioned stewarding this opportunity. And I think stewarding this opportunity, we can think about really tactical things like, well, what if the Upper Peninsula itself was on every cap table of a successful exit? What if there was a fund? And we know tech transfer offices take licensure, right? Everybody takes a piece of the pie. So why doesn't the environment get a piece of the pie? What if there was a sustainability, commitment in the core of this fund that said when we invest in companies, when they're successful, there is some kind of a return to the region that they came from that also has a flow-on impact. Because you mentioned it, Joe. 400 people come into a campground, all of a sudden with ORVs. That's not the infrastructure, and the nature is not designed for that. So how do we make sure that the upside of this doesn't turn into the financial equivalent of another mine, right? How do we actually redirect in policy? I mean, these are state funds, taxpayer dollars that are going into this, so why not make sure that we have stewardship principles in the actual financials of the thing?
We have a lot of conversations going, and we've been talking with Superior Watershed, since the beginning.
great, like, they could be a fiduciary, right? To say,
Sure.
well, if
And
we're
so-
investing in something that's water related, maybe it comes back into.
And Carl and I have had a lot of conversations about how we manage it, and how effectively we can do it. And I do agree that now the fund does have a sustainable component to it. So when you look at outdoor innovation, a lot of outdoor innovation is sustainable technology, like we talked about with sustainable materials. Do we want to be producing, extraction type technology to produce components in the outdoor ecosystem? No. If you look at Merrill and you look at all these other companies out there, they're actually producing products with sustainable materials now. And so I think that a big piece of this, in my mind, and that's why that's our next initiative, is sustainable technology. And you've heard me say, everyone's heard me say this multiple times, our second pillar is sustainable tech, because I think the opportunity to actually not only eliminate the environmental impact of what the mines have done and reverse that impact through sustainable materials and the production of those materials for this industry has the potential to be hugely impactful. And I think that there will be, as this develops further, a lot of companies that will say, I want to create, for instance, if you want to see a SEMA, there's a suspension system now on UTV that's fully sustainable that creates power as the UTV is driving. Well, it's also in the componentry of that product is sustainable materials. GM has just signed some of the largest contracts for hemp plastics and hemp materials. We have the opportunity and potential to produce those materials here too, and have those materials and create plastics and other things that are sustainable that feed the industry too. And it's a great part of the conversation. I'd love, to have more conversations about it, but I think this is the initial part to getting it set up. I think once we get that language needs to be added, and I think that, Carl's been asking me for, weeks now, when are we going to, get going on this, because this is hugely impactful for the environment. Now, again, I want to continue to focus though, it isn't us going out and attracting a whole bunch of people to the UP and attraction campaign. It's us going out to industry partners who will come up in small groups, like we had Toyota here with 7 engineers and 9 vehicles, like a few weeks ago, Dave did, to come up and test those vehicles. And then when we're done doing that, everything environmentally is there's a strategic focus to make sure that we're maintaining the environment as those activities happen. So.
Any last questions for Joe?
Yeah. So this is great. This is a lot. This is a great conversation. I've had side conversations about this, and it's been kind of hard to relay the message.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any flyers or
Yes, for sure.
mind maps?
Yeah, a lot actually. We're doing just the basic press release stuff now to get the details out, and we've got a lot of news media and stuff over the next couple of weeks to be able to talk about it, what it is, what it means, and that. And then from there, after that, we have a lot of documentation to follow with, summaries of what this means and what we're trying to do. There's a couple of other kind of large components that are going to happen over the next month, with the Shop House Park project, with the MSF in terms of the fund itself. And we want to get all the information out, and then we'll have an infographic that ties it all together to show. And I really want that to be driven from the state. We had a meeting yesterday, and to Keith's point too, we had a meeting yesterday too, and Eagle Mine was there, and there was a lot of others there. Chris, you were there, Dave, you were there, to talk about the sustainability of the trail system. But I really want this conversation now to be driven to the state level, to Brad Garman's office and to other state players, in our rural group as well, to really understand how this acts as a state component too, before we really start getting into the detail of it. From right now, basically, we took the Smartzone and we said we have a strategic initiative around outdoor innovation, and we're supporting an entrepreneur at Shop House Park to help them develop their business and continue to push the outdoor industry for now. It's about a year runway with this grant to make all that happen. And as soon as that's over, then the conversation gets bigger and goes to that next level. And we'll have a lot of detail on that.
Okay. And then just kind of bouncing off of that, bigger than just this project, but all of the economic development groups, is there some type of mind map that it kind of explains all of our groups, and maybe like.
We started it, and we need to get back together.
Yeah.
I know it's been talked about for a while.
I guess the Smartzone do need to do a better job of getting our information out about what we do. We've actually, we just really had our heads down trying to get all this stuff done. We could have been more effective on what our what our mission is, as we get, did the website and stuff, but I think we need to do a better job of getting the message out there. I've been more of a kind of head down work kind of person for the last couple of years, and I think now is the time to kind of put our heads up and take a breath and share with everyone, what we do and why we do it.
That could
Well,
be
and
a
there's
good,
just
like,
been a lot of
internship
turnover.
or Externship project, I've heard of those where it's just like a winter break project where you can have someone maybe from Northern help you use Canva and put something together.
Yeah, we have a lot of that stuff. It's just we need to share it more. Yeah, we do.
And you need to get,
Yeah, we did that months ago.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we sent 2 versions of that months ago. That was done at least 6 months ago. It was probably a week or so after we were requested it. I don't know why it never got to the commission, but it's sent multiple times in multiple versions. Yeah, sorry about that if you didn't get it. Karen should have that for you. We also sent a monthly update, which included all of our activities, as well as the full report that went to MEDC that was also sent to the city a couple months ago.
Good to know, thank you.
Yep.
Right, are there any last questions for Joe?
That was 3 years of audited financials and the full year beyond that.
Just the audit, we need the actual financial report.
There was 3 years of audit and the full financials for a year, as well as the a monthly update. Yeah.
Well, Joe, I just want to say thank you very much for being a champion for this, and it's such an exciting project.
Doing my job.
I really believe
Sure.
it's a really good holistic and strategic approach, and it's bound to be part of our future here in UP, so.
It's good. It's really great to see. Thank you, Ryan. It's really great to see everyone coming on board, like City of Nagani, Ishmael, others, partners. Getting these grants is very difficult, and to have big coalitions of support to do it is the only way to do it. You have to have a lot of people combine forces and be involved. And if you look at the names of all the letters of support that went through each one of these projects, we're starting to build a really big coalition of partners. And that's when big things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And continue, as the UP, we've come together on huge initiatives in the past and really generated some huge opportunity. It's in our nature. So I'm really excited to have a part in it. Again, I'm not spearheading this. This is something that Dave Olo has been trying to work on for 2.5 years. It's something that, Brad Garman's been in the Office of Outdoor Innovation for, a number of years. It was just something that we saw an opportunity to support it and then bring more people to the table. And then we got some great grants and financials to help push it. And then now I think there's gonna be a lot more coming after this. So this is a roll up to potentially, in 10 years or 15 years, if you look at what's happened around the outdoor innovation industry, this could be a couple $100 million project that goes across many communities to the UP, and brings a whole bunch of economic growth to them. And also encourages people in the UP, youngsters or people who have innovative ideas who have been in the space for a long period of time to actually go out and benefit from this initiative to be able to create products. The UP has been creating outdoor innovation products. Look how many are there. There's tons, hundreds really, of outdoor innovations that we've created that have made impact, worldwide impact. So we want to turn it back. And you're looking back into even like early with Henry Ford and all of those guys. They were up here in Model A's and Model T's, turning them into campers, cruising around in our outdoor innovation space 100 years ago. So.
I also want to say thank you very much to our USDA partners for supporting our regional vision. So appreciate that, Holly.
It's really big.
Mm-hmm.
This is huge. One of 3 cities in the country.
It was, very exciting.
And we're fully allocated. The only one that was fully allocated. So.
Who are the other 2 communities?
Oh, off the top of my head, I don't know. If I had my work computer, I could pull the email up, but.
They were not rural. The EDA grant, we were one of 5 rural communities to get it, and we were the only rural community that got the USDA grant.
Long time.
Yeah, we were sitting on it for a while. Couldn't say anything until they released it today. So today is the official release that we got it. So you'll see a lot of news articles and stuff about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. We had partner updates on the schedule, but it looks like we've kind of run out of time here. We'll be coming back in February, and I'm sure we'll have time for that then. So we'll try to, I'll send out an invite to the meeting in February, and hopefully see you then. So Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't see you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone.